실용영어의 실생활에 관계되는 서브젝트에 대해서 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Talk about COVID-19 self-test kits after the Omicron variant of the coronavirus became the dominant strain. There was a spike in the number of confirmed cases in Korea. Self-tests for COVID-19 were frequently called for. The self-test kits, also called rapid antigen test, are available for purchase at pharmacies. After the Lunar New Year holiday, I used a self-test kit at home for the first time. I thoroughly washed my hands before the test. Then I inserted the kit's cotton swab deep into my nostrils and rubbed it. Next, I swirled the cotton swab around in the liquid container and dropped a few drops of the liquid in the test device. After waiting 15 minutes, I got my test result. The result came back negative. It's not quite as accurate as the PCR test, but I was fascinated by how simply and conveniently I could check for COVID by myself. Loving black. Most of the items I use are in neutral colors. They are plain, not flash, so I always tend to go for neutral colors when I buy things. I especially like black. Opening my wardrobe feels like searching for something in a pitch black cave. There's no other comfortable color that I reach for as often as black. Black carries an unseen depth. It's weighty, tidy, and a symbol of classic elegance. Whatever the occasion, black-colored clothing always fits the dress code. Black is also the most fundamental color that is always among the options for any item. However, even among black shades, no two are alike. It magically appears different depending on the material, leather, cotton, silk, or paper. I hope that everyone will experience being captivated by black, a color with many different charms. Talk about the growing popularity of 3D technologies. The use of 3D in films has been regaining popularity over the last few years. The technology is more advanced today, so it looks more real. 3D looks awesome in movies with computer-generated imagery or the CGI. The best use of 3D so far has, without a doubt, been in James Cameron's movie, Avatar. The movie raked in the most amount of money in film history, partly due to the 3D technology. When I saw the movie, I was captivated at how real the scenes looked. I think we can expect more movies to be released on 3D in the future because the demand is growing. Apparently, TVs are adapting to 3D technology as well. It won't be long. People will be enjoying 3D movies from the comfort of our living rooms. Mandatory military service. Technically, Korea is still at war with North Korea. That's why it's a country with a mandatory conscription. Korean men are compelled to serve in the military for a certain period. Korea's military consists of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and the Marines. Each branch of the military has a different period of service. You can apply to whichever you prefer. These days, the periods of service are getting shorter, and the treatment of soldiers is improving. People develop social skills, patience, and survival skills in the military. The military service becomes a lifelong memory for many people. Foreign players in Korean baseball league. The Korean Baseball Organization began a program of foreign players in 1998. These hired guns arriving in the league have made the Korean baseball matches more entertaining. The steady payment from the KBO League and Korea's high level of public safety have made the league popular among foreign players. Korea has also raised its image even more recently by taking on the COVID-19 crisis effectively. It was the talk of the town when a former Major League All-Star player joined the Korean team. Before foreign players joined in, it was a competition among Korean athletes, but as highly skilled foreign players joined the fray, Korean players redoubled their efforts to avoid being left in the dust. This has put Korean baseball on another level. As a result, Korea won a gold medal in baseball at the Olympics and has done well at major international competition. Describe your personality. I have a pretty animated personality. I'm not one you would call a shrinking violet. I can make a presentation in front of others, and I'm often told that I have a strong mentality. But the truth is I'm an introverted person. People are taken aback when I say that I'm an introvert. But you can't categorize introverted or extroverted personalities based only on whether someone is at the library. Rather, it depends on whether you derive energy from yourself or from external factors. Also, nobody fits squarely into just one of the two categories. Instead, they have an aspect of both, but one is more dominant. In the past, it was considered preferable to be extroverted, but actually it's said that many leaders tend to be introverted. talk about being a morning person. There were many rules to follow when I was in elementary school. I had to get to school by a certain time and write a book report every day, so it became more convenient to get my chores out of the way in advance. I started waking up early to get things done. Now getting up early has become a habit. I saw a TV program about a lawyer who gets the day started at 4:30 each morning. The lawyer said that he drinks tea, listens to music, and write down his thoughts in the morning. He said the reason was that there were fun TV shows at night, and he wanted to spend time with his family. The mornings were his only chance for some a long time. I could really relate to those rules. Whenever I put up doing things until the evening, I usually can't finish everything I planned. Having some time to myself early in the morning when everyone else is still asleep is the way to go for a more productive day. The flu. The flu is an unwelcome guest. Every winter is completely different from the common cold. Major flu symptoms are similar to cold symptoms. They include a high fever, headache, coughing, chills, and a runny nose. But the symptoms are so severe, a patient can experience unbearable pain. For patients with the underlying condition or the weak and the elderly, the flu can even be life-threatening. This winter, the flu is going around along with the coronavirus. That's why more people have received the flu shot. If you get a flu shot and develop antibodies, your body can fight the back, even if you do catch the flu. To prevent coming down with the flu, it's important to wash your hands well and to pay special attention to personal hygiene. Hair loss and stress. Talk about hair loss and stress. In my early 20s and early 40s, I experienced spot baldness due to severe stress. The bald spot was small at first, but later it grew to the size of a coin. Ironically, the hair loss was caused by stress, but the hair loss itself caused even more stress. It was a vicious cycle. So I started going to the dermatology department at a large hospital to receive laser treatment every week. Amazingly, my hair started to grow back like a glass door. I have received surgery for thyroid cancer, but the stress of hair loss was just as severe. The joy of my hair growing back was even greater than the joy of fully recovering from cancer. They say that stress is the root of all illness. Of course, it is difficult to live without getting stressed out occasionally. That's why we need the wisdom to handle the stress that does occur. 돌이라는 표현을 쓰네. giving direction. From time to time, I come across foreigners on the street asking me for direction. I always get taken off guard. Even each direction become difficult when I try to give them in English. Recently, a foreigner asked me for direction on a street in the downtown area. I didn't know the place off the top of my head, so I turned on a map on my phone and searched for it. My plan was to up direction. After finding out where the place was, I told him to go straight and then make a left turn at the first corner. Then he had to go 2 blocks and take a right. I told him the building he was looking for would be on the right. The foreigner thanked me and left. I felt it would be worthwhile to practice giving direction in English. Green Murder Society. At elementary schools in Korea, there is a group called the Green Murder Society. The group consists of school parents who do volunteer work so that kids can get to school safely in the morning. Members of the group hold flags at pedestrian crossings near schools. They help the children cross the street safely. The word green is in their group's name because the members were green vests when they first started. At the beginning of each school term, the group recruited members from parents who apply. Sometimes parents of all the students take turns to participate. In that case, they volunteer once or twice a year. Although the group's name contains the word murder, dads and grandparents are free to participate as well. Food budget and home-cooked meals. I am a mother with a 10-year-old daughter. For the past 3 years, I have been setting a monthly budget for our food and cooking homemade meals. I was inspired to start this after coming across a blog about food budgeting and frugal living. At first, I started with a monthly food budget of 50,000 won, but now I have brought it down to 450,000 won. Setting a food budget had several advantages. Firstly, having a predetermined budget helped me be more mindful of my spending and trained me to use money wisely. It also makes me keep track of the ingredients in my refrigerator, so there is almost no food waste. Also, by planning meals 3 to 4 days in advance, I no longer have to rush to prepare dinner, and it makes me feel productive. I cook homemade meals within the budget and share my experience on my personal blog. Talk about preparing for a wedding. I'm a bride to be, and my wedding is coming up. We recently had a formal meeting between our families. My fiancé and I have been discussing and fleshing out plans for our wedding since then. First, we chose a wedding date. Then we started looking into venues. The day we settled on is during the off-season. so we were able to choose our preferred date and time at the venue of our choice. We then chose our formal clothes and took wedding photos. Next, we had to prepare household items and hand out the invitation to our acquaintances in advance. Because of COVID-19, we scaled back our wedding. We also have to take precaution to prevent the spread of the disease when we greet guests at our wedding. Talk about the diet method that you have tried. I have tried every diet under the sun. To shed light, I have resorted to Oriental medicine, Western medicine, and various dermatological treatments. I've eaten all sorts of diet food on the market. On TV health shows these days, they introduce various types of food. They are supposed to be good for diet. When I flip through the channels while the show is on, they often sell related supplement on TV home shopping networks. I know it's a sales gimmick, but I've tried buying and using such dietary supplements. I've had some success with some of those foods or supplements. But even if I do lose weight, I always experience the yo-yo effect. My weight returns back to when it used to be. I've realized that I can maintain a healthy weight only if I eat regularly, get some exercise, and get plenty of high quality sleep. Groups that heal. Groups that heal. Groups that heal. I have various social gatherings in my life. All the people there are important to me, but there are a few who especially brighten up my day when I meet them. Our kids are around the same age, so we do meet together sometimes. But nowadays we mainly spend the time just among us, and it's truly a healing experience. I thought about what makes them different, and I think it's because we talk about ourselves rather than discussing other people. Everyone is very empathetic towards each other. One friend in particular asked a good question. Another friend majored in counseling so she can get a read on things that never occurred to us. Our youngest friend loves learning, which gives us the motivation. Through our conversation, I can reflect on aspects of myself that I didn't know. The comfort and the encouragement I receive warms my heart. Despite being younger than me, I have a lot to learn from my friends. I hope these precious relationships last for a long, long time. Talk about high heels and lifties. It seems that more and more people are being height conscious these days. Women have always loved their heels, but they seem to be getting higher than ever these days. Some of the trendy shoes out on the shelves are sometimes 15 centimeters high. It's not just the women who are looking for the extra vertical boost. Men have been known to wear lifties to gain a few extra centimeters. It started with some of the male celebrities wearing inner soles in their shoes to appear taller. Now they don't even try to hide it by wearing shoes that are downright high heels. It's not only the rich and the famous, because everyday Joes, everyday Joes are also investing in lifties. For men, tall shoes have inner soles and a slight heel that give the person an extra height of anywhere between 5 to 10 centimeters. COVID-19 prevention measure in school. It has been almost a year and a half since COVID-19 turned our lives upside down. Many people are doing their utmost to get through this difficult time. The vaccination rate in Korea is rising steadily, and people are starting to hope for the return to normalcy. In schools too, teachers and students are adjusting to this new environment in their own ways. They are trying their best to follow COVID-19 prevention guidelines. Remote learning is convenient for students, but it seems many prefer to return to school. I hope that we'll soon be rid of coronavirus concern so that students can go back to school in high spirit. Yes, Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu is a Brazilian martial art that has roots in judo. Rather than striking techniques, it is centered on grappling or holding the opponent. It really is very similar to judo, but judo focuses on grasping and throwing the opponent. In contrast, Jiu-Jitsu aims to make opponents lose their balance. When they are down, you force them into submission through various chokeholds. Jiu-Jitsu is a martial art that lets even a small person win against someone much bigger. That's why it's gaining popularity among people who want to learn self-defense. You can easily find the videos of women who are well versed in Jiu-Jitsu dominating men in Korea. More and more studios are teaching Jiu-Jitsu these days. What are the lunch office hours on weekends and how much is it? Responding to questions using information provided. I have a few questions about the hours and the prices of your seafood buffet. One of my favorite Korean cartoon characters is Dooley. Dooley is a green baby dinosaur who lives with a human family. He works like a human and talks like one too. The first thing you'll notice about his appearance is that his tongue is usually hanging out. Talk about air fryers. Air fryers are an appliance used to cook food by circulating hot air. The basic idea is to eliminate moisture from something using heat. Talk about midnight snacks in Korea. Korea can be late night snackers heaven, especially if you live in a big city with a bustling nightlife. Whenever a craving hits for a midnight snack, there are tons of 24-hour establishments and you can go to. Once again, no need to worry even if your munchies hit 3 in the morning. Domestic arguments. It has been 30 years since my husband and I tied the knot, but we have not had a single domestic spat. Not long after our wedding, I listed all my grievances to my husband. He listened quietly until I had my say. He went over each thing, promising to change what he could and patiently explaining why some things couldn't be fixed. There was such convincing explanation that I lost the will to fight and it resolved my complaints. Recently I complained I always do all the talking. You should say something fun too, he answered. I have no excuse for that. I just don't know what to say. I'm sincerely sorry. Please forgive me. How can I pick a fight with a husband like that? Airline baggage restriction. COVID-19 has placed a heavy restriction on traveling abroad, but there are now more passengers on domestic flight compared with the international flight. Domestic flights have fewer baggage restriction, but there are certain basic regulations in place to ensure safety in air travel. Lighters, e-cigarettes, and power banks that can be put in checked baggage. They must be carried on board. There are also limits to the number and the amount you can carry. This is because an emergency response is impossible if these items explode in the cargo hold of an airplane. Getting a shot at the hospital. I watch a bundle of nerves as I waited outside the injection room finally it was my turn. My whole body tensed up when the needle went in. Yeah, talk about public bestseller in Korea. There are several different types of public bestseller in Korea. The beauty of this establishment is that many places are open around the clock.